All right, guys, another podcast in front of us. This is episode 360 of the 3 Point Podcast presented by the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Make sure you join the Summer Shape Up Challenge running from June 4th to July 30th. I might have to jump in on that because I got some pounds to lose. Follow the Wellness Center on Facebook for more details. Also, we're brought to you in part by AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services, and Nelson House Funeral Homes. Well, boys, last week I called in from the road, my long trip to Florida, and I will say this, probably my last work driving to Florida. I mean, 3 days in Florida, 4 days on the road. Just a little bit too much for this guy.
Well, the road is your doing. I don't. You said you wanted windshield time. I actually was commented to me by a listener. He said, "Why is he doing this in his car?" I actually had two people saying that. Why were you doing it in your car last week? Don't you have a hotel room or something?
Oh, geez. Well, I thought I told you. Maybe not. I did have a hotel room, but I wanted to get home, and I woke up. I usually wake up once in the middle of the night. I got up around 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, "Shit, I might as well hit the road. I might as well start heading to Michigan." So I drove 4 hours and then pulled over to rest area to do the podcast. That's how dedicated I am. Ever since you guys dogged me for having my hip replaced and missing one show, I can't ever miss again, no matter where I'm at. You put the pressure on me.
Sitting in a rest stop doing a podcast, that is dedication. I was going to say, because you texted us when you finally got home, or maybe you'd been home for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, he's just now getting home. I know Florida, it's a long drive, but so did you stop again after the podcast, or did you do the whole
stop to take a break, you mean?
Or, stop overnight?
Yeah, right.
Oh, no. I drove from Florida to Asheville, North Carolina. I was in your territory a couple times, Matt. I drove through Carolina on my way down, and then I hit Asheville on the way home. It was really strange. Just to answer the question, first of all, for the listeners that are curious why I drove, I went to a trade show. We had stuff to set up at a booth. We didn't want to ship it down. We could have shipped it down, but I said, "Hey, I'll drive it down in the car and meet the other guy down here." In hindsight, like I said, I think it's the last time I'm doing that.
Yeah, you have too much leverage, man, at that place to be volunteered to drive for 3 days in the car, man. That's brutal.
But on the other hand, if I'm going to go on a trip with my wife and I'm going to go to Florida and drive to Florida, it's probably going to be a 2-week block. You know what I mean? It's not going to be 3 days in Florida and 4 days in the car again. That's for damn sure.
Well, no, because that's what you have to start thinking about. Like if you take a week vacation. Not that this was a vacation for you, but, if you do that, kind of like what you're talking about, and you start doing the math and laying out your schedule, and 4 of those days you're on the road. But yeah, I was going to ask you what path you took, because I know usually it's 75 down from Michigan, right? That's to Florida. People usually say hit 75 all the way down, but there are some different routes you can take. And that's what you usually kind of do if you're on a vacation and you're doing kind of a long road trip. You say like, all right, where can I stop on the way and like extend my vacation? If you wanted to stop in Asheville and, check out Asheville or whatever. This is a little different because it was a work trip. But when you're on those long drives, you kind of map out your stops along the way and like add that into your vacation. So
right.
I know when you're on Jared's budget on your buddy's bachelor parties and you can just fly everywhere, and just take the private FanDuel sports jet out to Arizona. Right. That's different. But, if you got to drive, you can kind of map out, let's stop halfway at Asheville or wherever. We'll stay there for a couple of days and, do it that way.
I like to, because when I got asked about it, from 2 different people asked why did he do this in his car. I like to imagine you were like living in your car for the week, Patrick Swayze Challenger style. Because I was thinking about it, like as you were talking about like what the highlights were. Yeah, I drove through Mar-a-Lago this day, and then the next day I drove through Mar-a-Lago again. I'm like, man, maybe that is all he did is just hung in his car all weekend. I don't know, but
it's kind of funny. I had that thought when I pulled into the rest area parking space, and there was a car next to me. I don't know if they were travelers that just live in their car, but they had the aluminum foil thing on all their windows, keeping the sun out and sleeping in the back seat. And I had no idea what was going on there. They were still there after I recorded the podcast and hit the road. But I was going to throw in there, I didn't take 75. I took 75 basically to Lima, Ohio, and then cut over through Columbus and West Virginia and Carolina. That's the way that it took me to the east coast of Florida. And then on the way home, like I said, I came a little different way and went through Asheville. I had forgot all about the storm issues they had there, and when I got up at 4:00 in the morning to head out, it was, pitch black outside, hardly any traffic, but I'm going down the highway there. I think it was 40 or 26. It was one lane with cement barriers for like 20 or 30 miles.
Yeah.
And I had to believe it had to be because of that flooding, probably.
Yeah, I know there's still some areas. I mean, you probably saw some of the tree damage still in some of those areas. Yeah. Some of the trees still down and the forest just destroyed. But yeah, they're still rebuilding a lot of the highways over there that got washed out because of the flooding. So
crazy.
Because what the first time we went over to Tennessee, where my father-in-law lives, after those storms, we had to take a completely different route. Usually it's just like straight across through Asheville, basically over to Tennessee. We had to go way south and around because the highways got washed out from the floods. So it's just kind of crazy. And you're in the mountains. I mean, it's a beautiful drive through those mountains, but you got to think, if they've got to be rebuilding highways and doing construction like that, it's not very easy driving those trucks up into the mountains. So no, that is funny that listeners notice Ted recording. Yeah, because usually you're in your beautiful man cave down there. I think you always think about where you set up your camera so you can see all your jerseys in the frames back there. If people turn it on and they see you in your car, they're probably wondering, like, what the hell's going on? That's probably like, did you ever back in your youth, your younger days doing sales, did you just live out of your car sometimes? Like, I mean, when the budget was low and you hear about people doing that back in the day. Like,
no.
Vacuum cleaner salesman going door to door, just living out of their car type of thing.
I mean, if it was my personal budget, it might be a little thought there, but no, if I'm traveling on the company, they're putting me up in a hotel. In fact, when I first started in sales, and we'd go out on trips with like a couple guys, a sales manager and myself at that time, we would share a room. It took one trip to California, and that process ended immediately because of my snoring and bathroom problems. He said, solo rooms from now on.
Oh, so you were the issue.
On, dude.
I was the issue. Ever since that, solo hotel rooms the rest of the way. So that's the way to go.
I mean, these are two 40-year-old guys. At some point where you're like, I mean, what the hell are we doing? Why are we sharing a hotel room? That probably had to cross your guys' mind at some point as well.
Well, my sales manager at the time, he was very frugal, more frugal than me, but he did have one philosophy, and this goes for anybody out there in the business world: spend the company's money like it's your money, right? That's kind of his philosophy.
That's why we're wondering why you were driving down, man.
Yeah,
ship that crap.
All right.
People always talk about the last time I know I talked about it on the podcast, the women's Final Four. When I went down to Tampa to work for ESPN. I don't get to do very many remotes. Most of my work, I'm here in the office. Jared, I know you've done a couple of remotes, but the people who always are traveling for work doing remotes say the same thing. What you just said, Ted. Clock in everything, parking. Like rental car. It's just crazy going through the process because I don't do it all the time. Like when you book your flights, when you book your hotel, usually the hotels, they might have the ones chose for you that maybe you can pick out of like 2 or 3, but booking a car, like when I call the travel, the people who this is what they do, their job is they book travel for all the ESPN events and everything. When I called them, they're like, yep, just go on the website, pick whatever car you want, whatever. And I was like, I'm fine with just like a little, midsize or, whatever. Like, you can take whatever you want. I was like, so I could get a Mustang? They're like, yeah. I mean, like literally pick whatever car you want. And I thought about it for a second, like getting like a convertible out, whatever, something. I was like, no, I got some like, I don't even remember what I drove around when I was there. Damn. But yes, to that point, I mean, if the company's paying for it and they're going to rent you whatever kind of luxury car, go ahead and do it. Or whatever hotel. Don't stay in a Super 8. Upgrade to a nicer hotel.
Or how about this? At the very least, you're driving 48 hours in the car. You don't have Spotify Premium, I learned, because you couldn't listen to the Baseball 100. Expense that damn $2 a month, and we'll call it square. Now you have some entertainment for the road.
Good point. Good point. By the way, I am the old guy for sure, and I'm old school. I didn't have the Spotify premium to get the Audible book, but I ended up buying the actual book that I can read. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Right. Should be arriving anytime. And the way I looked at it it's a great summer read, right? I can go out on the pontoon, read a few chapters, so that's what I'm really looking forward to, getting the book and reading it. So
honestly, I mean, you kind of said it, Jared, probably the kind of book, like, especially if you're out on the pontoon on a beautiful day, you might knock it out in like one day. You might start reading it and like, man,
it's a lot of words, man.
I mean, maybe not, but
at one point in the book, he goes, I always thought like Moby Dick was like the longest book of all time. And he's like, we passed Moby Dick's word count like 30 chapters ago. Dude, it took me like listening to it's like, I think it's like a 35-hour audiobook. So It's going to take you a summer, man, to get through that.
Oh, without a doubt. In fact, I could tell that when, we listened to a little bit of it when we were coming home from one of Johnny's games, and I could tell this is going to be a thick book, but it'll be a good reference. I've got a lot of baseball books and different sports books behind me here. So it'll fit right in my library. So that's what I went with.
Nice.
How about you guys? Any quick catch up at all you got going on?
No, man.
Just getting ready. I think I talked about getting ready for summer. The countdown is on for my daughter. She's ready for third grade to end, and we're mapping out our summer plans and stuff. So that's kind of where we're at. It's crazy. I was talking to someone at work. Memorial Day is in it's not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend. Next weekend, Memorial Day weekend. It just always sneaks up on you. We say it about everything. This stuff always sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it really does. It's like we're officially summer. Like the last Saturday where it was a Tigers game was like 85. I mean, they ended up dropping a dud that day, but that was like the official to me. Like, okay, we're officially in summer mode now. I helped. I've been doing yard work for a few different people. It seems like lately. So yesterday I helped out one of my producers with his yard. He's got an open house coming up for his daughter, trying to get it into primo shape. And I woke up today, my right hamstring, like literally is like, it's tighter than tight just from jumping on that shovel, jumping on it over and over, redoing his entire beds. So I don't know if I can do this stuff anymore, man. I used to do it every day, 10 hours a day, wake up, feel totally fine. Like my hamstring, I was like, it was weird. Like usually your back's all effed up, but it's like my hamstring, like what in the world's going on? So I don't know. I'm just getting old, I guess.
I mean, can't even do a couple hours. How did you feel after spreading Ted's mulch? I know you
mulch. That was fine. I mean, mulch that's a monkey could do mulch. That's how I always described it. I mean, it's not, you carry all the bags and like I said, my back is fine. That's what's weird is I don't know, my hamstring just for whatever reason is jumping on that little shovel, redoing the whole edging, just took it out, man.
To think that, we'll talk about the NBA playoffs probably here in a little bit. One of the storylines, Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard earlier in the playoffs, they both blew out their Achilles. High level, peak performance, in shape athletes blowing out their Achilles. Jared can't even use a shovel for a couple hours and he pulls his hammy.
Dude, it's like, I don't even know what it's like. It's something that's plagued me ever since I was like in college, man. I'd be playing pickup basketball for 5. I'm just not flexible. And that's the first thing that goes, the hamstring.
I know you're dropping a few pounds. You're getting into a little fitness or back into it, I should say.
Right.
You ever think about doing yoga, hot yoga? I'm the same way. I was never a super flexible person, like in gym class or football, whatever. When you're doing your stretches, you got the guys that can like grab their toes and that was never me. I was never super flexible. Started doing hot yoga, and I can see the progress. I all of a sudden can like stretch better than I ever have in my life. So maybe you're getting to that point, Jared.
It's magical. Yoga's it's funny. I've never been flexible. That's why I never was that fast. I remember I used to do yoga like twice a week when I was, basically devoted my life to fitness for a couple of years in high school. And I remember we had like a fitness instructor or a yoga instructor come to our school for like psychology to basically teach us, how great you'll feel after that. Like the psychology class, kind of cool actually. We did a whole yoga class, and like my buddies are like way better at yoga than me. They're like busting my balls. They're like, dude, don't you do this like twice a week? How are we better than you? I'm like, dude, I don't think you get it. It doesn't just make you Mr. Gumby doing yoga. It makes you a little better, but it's not going to freaking turn you into Gummy Man. So I've done it before, but you're probably right. Definitely, I should get back into it.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you guys. I always have been, and it gets worse the older you get. I'm not flexible at all, never have been, but I did try yoga a couple times, and man, it made me nauseous. It's hard.
Yeah, it puts you in positions that you probably have never been in before if you've never done yoga.
Well, dude, you like think about P90X, like you do it, and like you get to yoga day, like for the very first time, like, oh, this can be easy, man. Like I'm gonna knock this out in 2 seconds. It's gonna be easy, get a nice little just feel good after. It's the hardest workout of them all. It's hell. So, but you feel amazing afterward. But man, it's hell for that 90 minutes.
Well, I may have to try it again. Maybe I'll take a class at the Wellness Center and start off in the beginner's class. Speaking of the Wellness Center, one of our great partners, our other great partners include Rivals, Taphouse, and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. And by the way, our sponsor of the week, also our Prep Spotlight sponsor, Jacobs Insurance Agency. Working with an independent agency like Jacobs Insurance gives you choices for your family and business. Jacobs Insurance Agency represents many, many insurance companies, so you can get the best price out there. And we have listeners that have hooked up with Jacobs specifically to get them help with their autos and other things. So good job, Jacobs Insurance. All right, we'll be back, talk a little NBA and other things, probably talk a little Tigers, I think. We're recording this on a Wednesday morning after a big night by the Tigers in 11 innings. We'll get into that right after this. All right, guys, I kind of teased it. I mean, all three of us were tuned in last night. Javy Baez, and Jared, you texted us. I 100% agree. I mean, I was definitely on the get rid of Baez train. After I saw the last couple of years, I thought, man, he's washed up. It's over. I think you brought it up on one podcast that maybe part of it was some injuries or whatnot. He definitely seems healthy, and he definitely has turned things around, and it is a true baseball story. I mean, it's just awesome. What a comeback, and what a fun team to watch right now. They are on a roll, tied for the best record in baseball as we record.
He encompasses baseball better than I think maybe just about anybody in the league. I mean, we were talking about it last week with the baseball 100 and how, think about it. When you look back in 50 years, I'm going to remember Javy Baez. Before he even had this resurgence, before all that, he just always has been such a cool cat. And I just always loved the flair that he plays with, the jersey pop, the chains. Usually he's got a mouthful of sunflower seeds. He's just a cool
the way he plays shortstop is really slick too. I know he's in the outfield now, but
the fact that he can just jump in the outfield and basically be like a Gold Glove outfielder, it's been awesome. It's so cool. Listen, I was maybe the last guy to sell stock on him. Even nobody saw this coming. And baseball is such a numbers driven thing. You're almost an idiot if you don't look at his 200 batting average he had for 3 years and say anything other than he's done. But he's literally having an MVP season. He's having a better season than Shohei Ohtani right now, with 5 less games. I just saw that stage. I think he's got 3 or 4 more home runs, 7 or 8 more RBIs. He's literally maybe the best player in baseball right now on the best team in baseball with our record. So it's just an amazing story. It was already a cool story with just the home run last night to come back up and deliver like he did, just a freaking missile to left field. And the great Barry Bonds type celebration with the hands in the air, just iconic, man. I just can't get enough of him right now.
Yeah, I think it goes to show that, first of all, I think winning is fun. We always talk about, you can see it on body language and players' faces when they're playing on a winning team. You can tell that they're just in better spirits. They're more positive, and they're overall just playing better. And when he's in a slump like he was those first couple of years with the Tigers, with the big contract and all the expectations that he had coming in, and the team was not good, that kind of adds to the negativity, I guess. So now the team is good, made the playoffs last year. I mean, it's crazy to think that he came into spring training without a job. I mean, he literally was about to not be on the roster.
I was going to say a little bit of this success for Baez, obviously the pep talk with Hinch, and then it may be a little bit less stressful that he's not playing shortstop. He can concentrate a little more on hitting, being in the outfield. But what a turnaround!
Yeah, I do think it is something to be with playing center field, where it's he's almost refound his love for baseball or something like that. But if you look at his batting stance in years past compared to this year, apparently Gleyber Torres, somebody who helped him with it. If you look at years past, he almost had a Gary Sheffield type stance, where constant movement with the hands, spitting sunflower seeds. I always remember thinking, like, dude, he's got so much going on. How is he even focusing on a baseball?
Right.
Now you look at it, it's almost like the Zach McKinstry, just like the sword holding it out, and it's stagnant. It's been amazing to watch it turn around. What's your one thing I will say about Baez? And they're already talking about this on 97.1 and other places. Oh, as soon as Parker Meadows is healthy, move him to third base, move him around. To me, the way he's playing, you do not mess with him. Even if Parker Meadows comes back, if he's staying on this tear, you keep him in center field. Meadows plays right field. Meadows plays left field. Just let him be out there. Like I said, he's like the best player in baseball right now. Don't move him back to the infield. Don't move him back to shorts. To me, they're ever sure. Keep it where it's at. That's clicking in his brain, being out there in the field. Like even in the post-game interview last night, that's like the first thing he said is like, yeah, playing center field, I'm loving it. Like, do not screw with him. Do you guys agree with that, or where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the old if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, there's certain players like when they come back, you're going to put them back because you're thinking about like the NBA. Like if LeBron James is hurt for a few games, when he comes back from injury, he's going to start. You know, there's some guys where it's like, yes, if Tarek Skubal has to miss a couple starts, when he comes back, you know, you put him right in there. There's certain guys where it's like, no, that's your spot whenever you're healthy. I don't know if Parker Meadows is on that level. And with the way Javy Baez is playing, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't just immediately ship Javy Baez to third base or something like that and put Parker Meadows out there. Because it's also like you want to make sure Parker Meadows is like good to go. You want to maybe kind of like ease him in, you know, make sure he's fully healthy before you just completely put him back in the starting lineup. And I think I saw Riley Green. You kind of mentioned it, Jared, but I think it was Riley Green or someone, might have been McKinstry, but someone said that it just seems like Javy Baez is having fun. And sometimes like that's part of it is just, you know, he's having fun. Like you said, he's not thinking about his swing too much. And maybe he has fixed a couple things with his swing. So it's definitely one of the cooler stories in the bigs right now.
Yeah, and I agree. I've never been a believer of, you know, you can't lose your starting position with an injury. Bullshit. If the guy's hotter than hell, you can't mess with that. Yeah, you ease Parker Meadows in. You can't deny the fact that he's basically a gold glove center fielder. So he's going to have to get some time in center. You know, Baez can play other positions or even DH on different days, but you don't mess with something that's going good. I mean, the best team in baseball right now, definitely a legitimate World Series contender. So go Tigers. It's going to be, you know, for our listeners out there, man, you want to go to weekend games down at Comerica Friday, Saturday night, better buy your tickets now because they're going to be sold out or jam-packed.
And the reality, man, is we look for a good team. You know, we've been waiting for this forever, and you don't know how long this is going to last. Knock on wood, it could be a year, it could be 2 years. You never know. So you got to get those games in now while the team is, I mean, there's something to watch. They're putting on an amazing product. They never die. Goonies never say die. Even last night, like all of a sudden a home run out of nowhere off of Bo Brisky. And you're like, oh shoot. No, 5 minutes later, Baez is walking it off. It's just, they never die. It's a pretty awesome team. It's not just one, you know, it's not Barry Bonds just carrying them. Maybe Baez is Barry Bonds. I don't know. But it's not just like one player getting it done. It's everybody chipping in at different times. It's an awesome team.
It really is, especially when they get those couple guys back from injury. They're deep too.
Yeah,
you know, like they do have some depth. The one thing, and it's not a negative. Hopefully, Casey Mize, you know, his hamstring. Right. Look, I was glad it wasn't his arm. You know, if it was his arm, that'd be a major red flag. Hopefully, hamstring. Rest a couple weeks, like Jared jumping on the shovel. Rest for a couple weeks, he'll be good to go. You know, hopefully that's no big deal. Jack Flaherty, I mean, he was kind of the big addition back into the starting. What is he, like 1-5 right now? Actually,
he's not right with him. Yeah,
he's just has not been good. I think maybe he'll get it figured out. It's still it's mid-May. So, you know, hopefully he gets it figured out. Those would maybe be the two things that it's kind of like, but they're still the best record in the.
Well, what I love is we got some depth, man. Like Kaider Montero seems like every time we pitch that guy, it pitches like 8 shutout innings. It's nuts. Another big bummer I add to that with the pitching is Jason Foley. I think we all kind of thought it was a little weird he didn't make the opening day roster. He had like 9 shutout innings in AAA, 0 walks, and just clearly something was off with his shoulder. He just had shoulder surgery, so he's done for the year. That's a bummer because I mean he was basically our closer last year, maybe our best relief pitcher outside of Tyler Holton. So that's a bummer. But other than that, I think everything's pointing up.
Amen. Well, before we move off the topic of baseball, just a couple quick comments from you guys on the recent news that the commissioner of baseball, Manfred, has reinstated eligibility for Pete Rose, Joe Jackson, some of these others that had lifetime bans. I guess in the true sense of the word, lifetime, they're dead, so the ban's over. It's
what do you think of it? Let's hear your take first. I'm not curious. What's your take?
I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they waited till he was dead. I mean, if you're going to allow the guy eligibility, he paid his dues. And heck, I mean, you work for FanDuel. Right. Gambling is just prevalent out there now in sports. So it should have been done while he was alive. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? 100% as a player. No doubt about it. I look at what he did compared to what Joe Jackson did. Two different things, because Joe Jackson, and you can do the whole biography stuff and read the story. He was a Hall of Fame type of player, but he threw a game in the World Series. I mean, that is just you can't have that. Pete Rose never did that. He never bet on his team to lose.
Yeah, I mean, that's the rumor, right? To me, the Hall of Fame, to me, like, I think you've said it before, put an asterisk on his plaque or something like that. I don't think you have to do that, but I mean, put it in the bio on the plaque if he does get in. He also had this part of his career. He had, 5 zillion hits, but he also had this.
Right.
To me, it's lame. He passes away, so we vote this guy. Now we're going to – and the baseball voters still to vote him in. They're the gatekeepers.
Correct.
But it's just lame. It's so lame. I'm not even going to lie about it. Like, if he gets in at this point, it would make me sick. There's so many problems with the Hall of Fame. To me, I mean, Barry Bonds, don't even get me going on that guy. Guy's the best baseball player ever, in my opinion, and he's not in. Yeah, he had some steroid issues. So did so many others. So that's maybe another tangent. But to me, it's just lamer than lame. We knew it was coming the second Pete Rose died, and like all the articles are, should he be in the Hall of Fame? While there's still dirt getting thrown on his grave. It's like, dude, no, we had 40 years to get this right. We didn't. Now it is what it is. It would be so lame to do it now.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they give someone an Oscar after they pass away. It's kind of like, well, now they can't even enjoy it. It does feel a little disingenuous. I think Rob Manfred, the MLB commissioner, he has said he's going to retire within 5 years, or maybe in 5 years. So it seems like he's going to maybe try and do a couple things to like really make his mark on Major League Baseball. But waiting until Pete Rose passes away, it almost is like the last like twist of the blade to him. Like, because he would have been the one, kind of like when Jim Harbaugh was holding up the national championship trophy, almost like a middle finger to the NCAA, hey, pull it down. Right. It kind of would have been the same thing. If Pete Rose got into the Hall of Fame after being like reinstated, it would have been like a thank you. Finally, why do we have to do this now? The only thing, so the baseball writers aren't going to be able to vote him in. It's called like the Classic Baseball Era Committee. Votes on people pre-1980. So that's part of the thing is like he's never been on the Hall of Fame ballot. Like people said, the baseball writers never voted him in. Well, he's never been on the ballot because of the lifetime ban. Right. Otherwise, the writers probably would have voted him in, if we're being honest, because they would have been like, listen, this is the best hitter ever in baseball. Let's put him in. And figure out an asterisk or figure out something on his plaque. But now, since what he did was pre-1980, it's going to be this different committee. Classic Baseball Era Committee is going to go through all of his stats and whatever, and they're going to be the ones to decide if he should make the Hall of Fame. So it's even all of that. Like, listen, baseball, what are we? It's like your classic. They're doing too much. Put the guy in the Hall of Fame. Put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame, and he got caught juicing. So, like, if the people who are like, no steroid era guys are in the Hall of Fame, that's why Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire are in there. It's like, well, that's not true, because David Ortiz is in there, and there's other guys who got caught doing stuff, but the writers, they had better relationships with the writers. We all know Barry Bonds and the writers didn't get along. So.
Nobody liked Barry Bonds. I mean, there's a hilarious story where he basically on Arizona State's team, the manager, like the teammates hated him so much that they like the manager's like, hey, let's put it to a vote. If everybody votes like to boot him off the team, I'll boot him off the team. Everybody votes, they vote to boot him off the team. He goes, I'm not going to boot him off the team. He's too good to get booted off the team. So that's just a good way to describe Barry Bonds' career, man. Guy freaking ruled, could mash home runs.
Yeah, awesome. I was just going to say, Jared, one of the greatest clips I've ever seen in baseball was the Leland ripping on Bonds with the Pirates. It's a classic. I can watch that every year.
what's funny is Leland actually is like, he's embarrassed about that because apparently whatever happened, like I think he misunderstood what Bonds was doing, and that's what Leland will say after that. It's like, yeah, I was in the wrong there. Like I screwed that up. I don't know what they were arguing about exactly, but
right.
Yeah, it still is all-time classic clip. But it's funny to think that Leland like hates that clip because he was in the wrong. But yeah, it's to me the Hall of Fame. It's guys like you said, you nailed it, Matt. Guys like David Ortiz are literally been caught. Barry Bonds was never caught of it. He's obviously, it's pretty obvious he did. His head grew and he freaking turned into a Death Star on the baseball field. But like, technically, never got caught for it.
Right.
Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Yeah. So if people like that, like I don't understand like that, and I love AJ Hinch. So the Astros thing happened. Blatant cheating. You know those guys are gonna get in. Altuve, Verlander, other guys, maybe Bregman if he keeps going. It's like, how do you just sweep that under the rug? But then steroids, which everybody was doing, which I love how we act like steroids are like superhuman injections. Like it made Barry Bonds a good baseball player, made him be able to see the ball and crank a zillion home runs. Yeah, it made him stronger. He was an amazing player before that. They all are. That is so like such a small part of baseball. It maybe adds what? Yeah, you're a little bit stronger, but that's like of any sport where I feel like it would not help as much. It's like baseball. It's like, dude, you still need the hand-eye. You still need all the other facets of your game. So anyway, that was a tangent.
Yeah.
Good take. And using Jared's favorite word, magical, going to the Baseball Hall of Fame, it is a magical experience without a doubt, especially if you're a baseball fan. But I will say this, the whole way that they decide to vote, I think Major League Baseball has to step in and they have to maybe relook at that. You know, this whole thing with the baseball writers doing all the voting, that's BS, man. Right. MLB needs to change that somehow with cooperation from the Hall of Fame. Maybe have writers have a vote, but also maybe have players have a vote, managers have a vote. I don't know, do something different where it's more fair.
Right. Because I would assume most former players that played with Barry Bonds would turn their eye or whatever, turn their back at the whole steroid thing and say, this dude is the best player I've ever seen.
Right.
This dude is the best. Pitchers would be like, I never wanted to face Barry Bonds. That's why he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded. Really? I mean, like this dude should be in the Hall of Fame. And there's plenty of Roger Clemens and others should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, what are we doing? I've said it 100 times. And my biggest beef is the writers were making money off of these guys when they were playing. Think about all the articles, all the magazine articles, all the books and everything talking about McGuire and Sosa saved the game and Barry Bonds, best player ever on the cover of Sports Illustrated over and over and over. You are literally making a living promoting these guys while they're playing. And then now you don't want to vote them into the Hall of Fame. That's the biggest hypocritical part of it to me.
Think about this. So put yourself in Barry Bonds' shoes. So like you said, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, they're roiding hard. And they're the darlings of baseball. They're mashing a zillion home runs. People are loving them. Barry Bonds is like, dude, I'm better than these guys. But they're getting this advantage. And so, like, how do you, if you're Barry Bonds, you want to be the best, you're going to do it. So he does it. And then Jose Canseco comes out with this book basically outing everybody. And like we talked about, the writers hate Barry Bonds. So they just said, we're going to make you the face of this. We're going to rip you on it every single day. And that's kind of what's happened is like he became the face of the steroids when it's a million people did it, man.
Yeah. You know, I can understand the whole thing on the gambling. Okay, set that aside. I get that. Mm-hmm. But the whole steroid thing, it was an era. It was an era. Everybody had that opportunity. Now, am I a proponent of steroids? Of course not. Your long-term health is more important than, money. But that was the era they played in, and they were the best players in that era. I just don't really get the whole digging in on the steroid users or so-called steroid.
It's weird.
It is.
Baseball fans are weird, man. We act like it's like the most magical game ever.
There's that word.
It is, but it's like, good Lord. Like, dude, the guy is the best player ever. He's not in the Hall of Fame. It ruins the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it definitely does put a damper on it. Well, let's move from baseball to NBA. They had the draft lottery. I think probably you guys have some opinions on it. Why don't you start it off?
Yeah, so the Mavs won it with 1.8% chance of getting the number one pick. It's the fourth year in a row that one of the teams like the Mavs with a 1.8 or around that percentage has won the draft lottery. 7 years in a row, the team with the worst record has not won
Right.
the draft lottery as the number one pick, whereas like in the NFL, if you have the worst record, you get the number one pick. So we've talked, everyone knows this. The draft lottery is supposed to avoid tanking. So you're not tanking to get that worst record, get the number one pick. That's the whole point. But it seems like, is it rigged? Is it not? Obviously conspiracy theories start getting thrown out there when the Mavs trade Luka to the Lakers and then get gifted the number one pick, and Cooper Flagg from Duke is probably already, the envelope is in for them to draft Cooper Flagg.
No doubt.
That's what makes it seem crazy. The Pistons get the number one pick and they get Cade. Awesome. But then for 2 years in a row, they had the worst record in the league and ended up at number 5. So that's where like this stuff just starts to really seem like something's going on.
It's rigged.
Like, was there something like Adam Silver in the NBA were like, hey, Nico Harrison, the Mavs GM, trade Luka to the Lakers. Lakers need a star. It's the Lakers. We'll give you the number one pick in Cooper Flagg when that comes around. Like, and that sounds crazy, but like, no, I don't think it's completely out of left field or whatever,
I was betting on the lottery, so I bet on because I was like, I do think it's rigged. This, like, I don't know. I mean, I do think it's rigged sometimes. Wembanyama, okay, let's make sure he goes to the best situation possible for him to blossom. Let's have him go with Popovich. Let's have him play where Tony Parker, another France legend, used to play. LeBron, yeah, let's make sure he goes to the hometown Cleveland Cavs. Like these American-born stars like Cooper Flagg. To me, I didn't see the Mavs like as any world as he was going to land there. It made me sick, man, watching that. Maybe it shouldn't have. This GM made a horrible trade. Then he just gets basically just playing Monopoly, get out of jail free card with Cooper Flagg landing in his lap. Like it just something about it was so wrong to me. It really grinded my gears. It's silly to say it's rigged, but I mean, with all the stuff that's happened where it's like, we traded Luka Doncic. Now all of a sudden we get the number one pick. Cleveland Cavaliers, they lose LeBron, they get the number one pick. There's like a couple other examples. Somebody else, Pelicans trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers, they get the number one pick. It's like, how many times is this going to happen in a row where we bolster the Lakers and then we resupplement that team? I know it sounds stupid. It's like, it really is dumb to think it's rigged, but how do you watch what happened where literally this fan base is about to revolt on the Dallas Mavericks? Like they might have been done with the team if this didn't happen. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, we're going to give you the next guy and it's going to solve everything. It just irritated me.
Yeah. Well, you guys know I don't like the lottery in general. I just, I think they should have the worst team should get the number one pick, but it's not going to change. They're going to keep the lottery, but I think changes have to happen. Matt, you've talked about it before, maybe a tournament, maybe don't have 13 or 14 teams in the lottery, have the bottom 4 teams, right?
Yeah.
Well, because that's part of what's crazy is the Mavs. I mean, they made the play-in, but that's the playoffs now. The Mavs were in the playoffs this year, and they got the number one pick. How does that work? The Hornets and the Wizards, 2 teams that have never made the conference finals in the East. The Pistons had those couple years, like I said, where they had the worst record in the league, didn't get the number one pick. So the lottery, it's not perfect. I think the simple thing, what you just said, Ted, just reduce it to like the bottom 6 teams,
right?
Something like that. And then that makes it a little more fair. Like the Mavs and they shouldn't have even been in the lottery. They were just in the playoffs. How are you putting them in the lottery with teams like the Wizards and the Hornets,
They might still be playing if Kyrie doesn't get hurt. Like that's why he made that trade. It was a win now trade. Like they want to go for a title. Now I'm with you. The lottery is a serious problem. Like think about the NFL. Like is there tanking? Like you can't really tank at football because it's like basically you're going to war every Sunday. They're still tanking in the NBA. It hasn't stopped. This hasn't stopped it. It still happens every year. To me, what was brutal as Pistons fans, we sucked. Then we'd get burned on the lottery. It's like you just check out. You don't even pay attention anymore. Like, or if you're the Washington Wizards, you've had some horrible seasons. All right, but it's going to look up. You're going to have Cooper Flagg. I just would get rid of it. I wouldn't hate getting rid of it entirely. It might stop tanking because let's say one team like the Pistons last year, you lose 28 straight games. Like, how are we going to be able to catch up to them in losing? Like, we might as well just play the season out and see what happens. So I just think it's broken. It's been broken the last few years, it feels like. And even like the top 4, you got Spurs, 76ers, Mavericks. It's like, what are we doing, man? Like none of these teams are even bad. So it is what it is.
Well, and then, to NBA play, it's been a fun playoff to watch, but man, the injuries to a couple star players like Steph and now the devastating injury to Jason Tatum, you talked about it a little bit at the beginning. That's a killer, man. That is a killer for the Celtics, done for the playoffs and done probably for the entire year next year.
Yeah. It's always that we saw it with the Dame injury too. And I even think Kobe's was maybe similar. It's always that retreat step and then plant, and that Achilles goes every time. Yeah. So that's good for us to know as we get older, as we age. Ted, I know when you're push mowing the yard, be careful of that step. That's how it goes.
Good point.
So it's brutal, dude. You talk about the worst night to be a Celtics fan. It's that one, you're losing this series that I think the Celtics were like -10, like -1,000 to win at the start of it. The Knicks are coming from nowhere. And then just a nice little twist of the knife, your star player. Now you're out for next year too. It sucked. And he was playing so well. That's the killer. Like he was putting on a show. A mano-a-mano matchup like that in the playoffs, get your popcorn out. And then Achilles goes. It's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers finished off the number 1 seed in the Cavs last night.
Yeah.
So they're in the conference finals. The Knicks, especially now with the Tatum injury, the Knicks are probably going to finish off the Celtics. So the East Conference Finals is going to be Knicks, Pacers, completely probably different than what everyone expected. Because, the Celtics and Cavs were the best teams in the East basically all season. So the Eastern Conference Finals are wild. And then, Steph and the Warriors actually looked like they might make a little run. He gets hurt. Now the Timberwolves, Ant Edwards, that's a fun story. He's fun to watch, but not really a team anyone expected to be in the conference finals. They're probably going to be there. And then the Thunder probably are going to finish off the Nuggets. They're the number 1 seed. They have some young superstars, Shea and Chet Holmgren and some other young players, but not the like LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry. So I don't think NBA fans like myself, I will definitely be watching. Jared, you probably will be. I know, Ted, you enjoy the NBA, but you're not like deep into the NBA, maybe like you used to be. I don't know if these are the series that the TV execs wanted. They wanted the Warriors and Steph. They wanted even Jokic. The Nuggets with Jokic. They still have a chance. The Knicks storyline is pretty cool. But
I love the Knicks, man. I said it during, and again, remember we said last week how it's like
how close the Pistons were.
Really are that damn good. Like it makes me excited for next year. And add 1 or 2 more pieces. Like, man, I can't wait to see what they could do next year. They are that good. And the Knicks, I just love, they're all friends. Jalen Brunson, is there a better superstar? Like, just never says the wrong thing. Like every interview, he's just so poised and collected. Like, comes up clutch again and again. It's just amazing how he fell to the second round. Like I was looking back at his stats. He played 116 games at Villanova, 2 national titles. Like we saw him in that Michigan final, like in that championship game. Like this guy's a freaking stud. Yeah, falls in the second round just because he's a little undersized. It's just what an amazing player. I love watching him, man.
Kid can play for sure.
Celebration. I don't even know what you call it. Like where he covers his nose. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll correct you a little bit, man. I'm not a regular season NBA fan. Once the playoffs start, I'm dialed in, and I love having my coffee in the morning, watching the second half of the late games. That's my thing in the playoffs, man. Every morning, get up with coffee and
it's awesome.
Check that second half out. So
I mean, I just saw an interesting stat. You guys know I like stats. So Jokic last night, the Thunder ended up beating the Nuggets to take a 3-2 series lead.
Right.
Jokic went off. He basically like another 44 and 20 type of game. Jokic, I mean, he's the best player in the game. He's incredible. But his teammates are letting him down a little bit. His teammates basically they went 1 of 15 from the field in the fourth quarter. Dude. I mean, Jokic, you have a player like him, he can carry you to some victories. But if your teammates go 1 of 15 against the number 1 seed in the West in the fourth quarter, you can only do so much. So
I've been hammering the underdogs, and it's been doing well on my FanDuel DraftKings account. And I went to bed last night, so I did a 2-pick parlay with the Pacers and the Nuggets money line. It was like 13-1. I went to bed like with the Nuggets up by like 5 in the second half. I could have cashed it out for like $70. I threw $10 on it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna trust Jokic. He's got it going tonight. I just learned that stat. I saw the score when I woke up this morning. It made me sick. They are playing 6 players, and the Thunder have basically 10 guys to throw at you. And it's amazing that Jokic doesn't gas out. Like you look at him, you think like, man, he can't be in that good of shape. He really is. It's a bummer. They don't have the depth to go for a 2-month playoff stretch run like some of these other teams can. So I think they're dead. Put a fork in them.
Yeah. All right, before we move to the prep spotlight, a couple quick things I had in notes I just wanted to throw out there that I came across. I feel like Pat McAfee because I'm going to have a wrestling take here. Wrestling legend and Lansing native Sabu, his real name Terry Brunk, has died at 60. He's a 1982 grad of Lansing Sexton High School. This is my take on it. He's the nephew of WWE Hall of Famer Edward Farhat, who is out of Williamston. He's better known as the Sheik. There's my take.
He's from Williamston?
I know that guy. I didn't know the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy's his nephew, but the Sheik, man, legendary. And
I didn't know the Sheik was from Williamston.
Williamston, Michigan, absolutely. Not the Iron Sheik, the original Sheik.
Oh, okay.
Who can name the famous baseball player from Fowlerville? If you don't know this, then you're...
Well, I know that.
Matt, can you name it?
From Fowlerville?
Yeah, Tiger.
Fowlerville, Michigan.
I don't know, like Chet Lemon or something, who just passed away, actually.
Yeah, R.I.P. No, the mechanical man, Charlie Gehringer, wind him up each spring.
Did not know that from
first
Fowlerville.
Hall of Famer back in the day. Great player for the Tigers.
Didn't show up to his Hall of Fame thing. Wasn't interested in it.
Was that in the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out. And one final thing, this is to you, Matt. In ESPN news, Rich Eisen back after a long stint with the NFL Network. And I saw Chris Berman. He's 70. He's even older than me. He's re-signed through the year 2029. And ESPN has the Super Bowl in 2027. Good news there for...
Oh, yeah. They've already been having... I mean, that's part of why they brought Joe Buck and Troy Aikman over to ESPN. I mean, because they've got Super Bowls are booked out for like the next 10 years or something like that. But yeah, ESPN getting the Super Bowl is a big deal. We've had countdowns on every monitor in every office ever since they locked that in. So yeah, Chris Berman's been at the network since it started. You know he's going to stay through their first Super Bowl. So having him on, I'll be curious what he does. If he does like a halftime show or if he does something with the Super Bowl, but yeah, that's a big deal. Cause yeah, ESPN, we talk about streaming and everything with Tedertainment Tonight. ESPN just announced that they're going to have, you can pay $29.99 a month just for ESPN.
Yep.
Everything ESPN, basically like a Netflix, like a Max, whatever. So you don't have to have a cable subscription, $29.99 a month. You get that. So apparently that's where Rich Eisen's show is going to be. It's just, it's great for the company. Good job. Yay. Keep my paychecks clearing. It's just crazy. All these different streaming services. I mean, it's almost hard to keep up with.
I think that's the most expensive streaming service right now too, isn't it? The $29.95 or whatever it is.
Well, I mean, unless you're talking about like Hulu or something like that. But.
Well, yeah.
It's once they put the games behind that paywall, that's when we'll all get it. So it'll come. Everybody does it already. I mean, that's where we're heading. It is what it is. You got to prioritize the sports to me. So it's okay. Max might get cut. Whatever. Hulu might
Paramount
get cut,
Plus
and you just focus on the sports. Rich Eisen rules. I love Rich Eisen.
He's awesome.
It doesn't hurt to have those Michigan men in the media world as well. With we're the people that are getting hated on the most. Us Michigan fans. So we need a few of those guys standing in our corner to defend us.
Yeah, honestly, you mentioned McAfee. I thought because it was weird timing. He tweeted out something really cryptic about like life is a book. Next chapter is going to be big. Something like that. He's caught a lot of heat. A lot of people at ESPN aren't big fans of McAfee. And then the next day, the Rich Eisen news got announced. So I thought it was going to be, we're moving on from McAfee. We're putting Rich Eisen in that noon slot on ESPN radio on ESPN, but that hasn't been announced. So
stay tuned. It could be on the horizon, And I bring up McAfee. I do like his show, but I will say this: when he gets into the wrestling stuff, it loses me. It loses me.
I still remember literally like very first day McAfee was on ESPN. Like it was like they were doing it live on remote game, like for before college game day, like a Friday before college game day. They're doing like the half court shots of the basketball where he's paying for scholarships and stuff like that. I remember watching it with some of my coworkers, like older coworkers, like, what is this? Like, this is awesome. Like, wow. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, he's got his flaws. I know he's getting sued right now, but I mean, I don't listen to his show on the daily, but he does some good. I do think him and his crew do some pretty good interviews where they ask the tough questions.
They do.
You gotta respect it. So
the content, obviously the LeBron versation was the big one where they had LeBron on for like 2 hours, but they get some good guests. I mean, he takes care of his employees and stuff. And I mean, he definitely has his brand and his following. That's for sure.
Amen. That's America, baby. All right, we'll take another short break and come back with the prep spotlight right after this. All right, in the prep spotlight presented by the Jacobs Insurance Agency, local, independent, and trusted. We'll start in softball. Perry last Saturday won the Fulton Invitational, going 2-0 on the day. The Ramblers started the day defeating Fulton 13-2. Sarah Austin and Tegan Halleck both hit homers. Madison Ralston had a double and a triple. The Ramblers took the second game over Saginaw Michigan Lutheran Seminary 6-2. Austin pitched a complete game and had 14 Ks on the ball game and picked up her 900th career strikeout in the process. So real nice job there. In track and field, the Corunna boys track team won the Friday Flint Metro League Championship. First place efforts by Isaac Jacobs in the 200-meter dash led the way. Owasso finished fourth, led by first place finishes by Eli Worthington in the shot put. And speaking of Corunna, the Corunna Invitational, the Corunna Cavalier Classic, Chesaning boys won that, edging Corunna and a host of other schools. Zach Harlan led the way, winning both the 100 and 200-meter events. So a lot of good stuff happening in track. I should mention also, this is for you, Matt. Perry's boys track team on Wednesday went 2-0 at the final CMAC conference meet of the season. The Ramblers defeated Potterville and Saranac. Perry took first place in every relay event. In the 400 relay, the team of Brady Burns, Gavin Clutt, Blake Baux, and Connell finished first at the time of 46.27. And Burns also a part of the 800 relay team. So how about that? He's fast.
Yeah, he's always been fast, and I think I told you he's the only senior on the baseball team this year. They're struggling a bit, so I think being able to play two sports, so him being able to run track, because he loves baseball. Baseball's been his thing, so he's still getting to play. That's cool, but getting to run track and having some success is probably helping, because he's a senior, so helping his finish up his senior year. Because if he was having to play only baseball, and struggling, that'd be a tough way to finish your season. Sarah Austin, the pitcher you mentioned for the Perry softball team, that's actually his significant other. That's his girlfriend, his female friend. They've known each other since they were toddlers. Wow. They've grown up together there, and she's going somewhere, like I forget where off the top of my head, but she's playing softball in college, so she's a baller.
Track is one of those things where if you're fast, it's like the most fun sport in the world. And if you're slow, like I was, it's like literally this was hell. So it's cool that he's a good baseball player, and then he just jumps on the track team and he's winning relay races. Like that makes it fun.
Yeah. Finally, in the spotlight, Langsburg beat Lansing Christian 3-2 in girls soccer to clinch the CMAC championship. Paige Woodworth had the hat trick, scoring all 3 goals for the Wolfpack. We'll keep this thing rolling along, but that was the prep spotlight presented by the Jacobs Insurance Agency, and we'll jump into a little short Tedertainment Tonight. I got one show that we watched. You guys have probably seen it on the banner on Netflix, called The Four Seasons, with Tina Fey, Steve Carell, and others. It's an 8-parter. It's based on the original movie. Alan Alda wrote it and starred in it back in the 80s. Worth the watch. It's very, very well done. 8 quick episodes, anywhere between 35, 45 minutes. Has a good storyline with 3 different couples. So
what's the plot, roughly? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. The plot is 3 couples get together for mini vacations throughout the year. And Steve Carell splits from his wife, gets a younger girlfriend, and
Belichick bit?
Yeah, kind of. And
is it a comedy, or is it more like
it's a dramedy? There's some drama, but it's a comedy as well. It's well acted, obviously, with those people. And I will say this. Well, first of all, I'll give it a 2.8 on the 3-point scale. But it kind of got us wondering, my wife and I, let's watch the original movie. It was made in 1981. Does not hold up. Does not hold up at all. So don't waste your time on that unless you're really into nostalgia. But check out the 4 Seasons on Netflix.
I love Steve Carell, so he's one of my top guys. So
he's good.
I actually might take you up on this one.
Do it.
He might take you up on this one, Ted.
I got to take a look at it. I got to watch the trailer. Sometimes the dramedy maybe scares me off a little bit. Is it maybe too much drama? Is it? I don't know. I got to do. I don't
think so. And it does have a twist. It has a twist too in the last couple episodes. So I think you'd enjoy it. This would be one I'd have you watch with Liz.
Yeah,
it's a good couples thing.
Sounds like it's probably like a standalone. It's not like there's going to be a season 2 or anything.
It looks like they could set up a season 2.
Oh, okay.
They always leave them open ended because you never know how well it's going to do financially, and then and they'll jump on it again.
Right. How about you guys? You got anything you want to add to entertainment?
Yeah, just quickly before you have something, Jared. Handmaid's Tale is the main thing. I've seen that banner for what you just said, and that makes me want to. I'll give it more than what Jared said. I think we will watch that, Ted.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, you guys have the same interests. I'm like kind of the wild card in entertainment. I just like different stuff. But
that's true.
So you guys are basically just recommending stuff back and forth, and you guys love it all. So
it's just about finding the time for me. So yeah, when we finish Handmaid's Tale, that I think I said this is the final season. It needs to end. I think it's going to end well.
I'm with you. Handmaid's Tale. I need to get back into it. That was a show. It was so like depressing. I have a tough time with movies and shows that like sit with you. That's when you know it's something good. Right. But like you watch a Handmaid's Tale episode, it's like, all right, let me go take my dog for a walk. Like it almost puts you in a weird funk like for the rest of the day. But I am very curious to see how that story wraps up because it's like it is been such a wild ride and it's taken so many turns that I almost might just read the ending of the plot or get your final review whenever that show does wrap up. Like I just want to know what happens. To me, I don't know if I have a ton of this. I'll give one small movie recommendation, something I watched a long time ago. And that's a movie called Companion on, I believe it's on Prime. It might be on Max as well now for free. Is it the best movie I ever watched? No, but it's an entertaining, 90-minute movie basically about this girl that's, it's not really much of a twist. It's revealed in the first 15 minutes. She's like a robot basically. And it's like dating this guy. Dennis Quaid's son, Jack Quaid, who like I get a kick out of that guy. He's a good actor. He's in The Boys and a few other things that are good. It's a good 90-minute watch, just a simple kind of horror film, easy watch, 80 minutes, 85 minutes. You like it, you enjoy it. It to me, it's the best way we've seen the robot girlfriend type thing be pulled off. So I just thought it's a good easy watch that I would recommend if you just want something quick, don't really think too much on it. Like I think Companion on Max is a good watch.
Those are good movies to have in the back pocket. Stuff you don't have to think much about. Kind of like Handmaid's Tale kind of sticks with you because sometimes it's good just to have a movie that you can just kind of zone out to, or you don't have to think about or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale, the first couple seasons were definitely very, very dark and stuck with you. It's changed a little bit to how they're going to develop and
now it's like how we're going to end this on a positive note, whereas you're not being suppressed in the United States like she was Elizabeth Moss, the main actress, for a while. Have you guys watched Last of Us? Are you guys caught up on that, or where are you way at with that?
I'm caught up.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens, Matt? Like where if we talk about it, it's not going to really spoil it, or
no?
Or
I know what happens. Yeah.
So the thing that we never really even talked about, real quick, is Joel dying. I have one complaint about this. He went out like a baby. I hated it. Oh, I hated it. No, like this girl, it was a tough watch, and I knew it was coming. So I feel like my dad called me right after he watched, like, "What the hell did I just watch? Like, how did that happen?" So he's just getting basically tortured by this girl. He never has a one-liner back, never, any fight back. I just would have gave him one more moment of badassery before he went out. That was my quick little complaint. That was a couple weeks ago, but I've been stewing on that ever since I've been watching the episodes following. Just give me one liner. Maybe she's hitting him with his baseball bat or a golf club. Maybe catch the golf club and punch her one time or something. Just something. He just went out. He went out weak, in my opinion.
A fair point. I agree with you on that one. Absolutely.
I remember that being a criticism in the game too, that they could have made it cooler how he went out.
Right. Again, I understand why he has to go out. Like maybe they just want to be as brutal as possible, but he was such a badass. It almost felt like it was like, I know he's older. We fast forward like 10 years in the show or whatever, 5 years, but like, come on, man, give me one liner. Like you guys are evil or something. I don't know, just anything. Right. So something. It is what it is, but it's still been good ever since he's been gone, and took some balls to actually kill him off. So I was impressed that they did that.
Yeah, they killed him off, but I don't know if you saw the previews of the next episode. He's back. There'll be some flashback stuff. Yeah. So that's cool. I like him.
Yeah, he's a great actor. I'll say this real quick. I know we're about to sign off. I don't know if you guys saw. I just saw it this morning. There's going to be a John Madden movie.
Right.
I didn't see the trailer, but I saw a picture from it. Yeah.
I didn't see I don't know if there's a trailer. I saw the picture.
Okay.
Ted, have you seen this?
I have not.
I mean, definitely all three of our alley, but who's playing John Madden, Al Davis, Nicolas Cage playing John Madden, Christian Bale playing Al Davis. And the picture, they both look spot on. I'll have to send it to you. But it's
Nicolas
if it's
Cage is
real,
bad.
Nicolas Cage is though I like Nicolas Cage. He's sometimes just a little corny with stuff. Like you talk about a perfect casting. Christian Bale's gonna nail Al Davis.
Right.
Something about I hope it's gonna be good, but something about Nicolas Cage makes me worried.
Yeah. Well, I know we got to get going. I do have one other comment, Jared. You say you're the wild card. I need your take on this. I just saw a trailer for a superhero movie with John Cena. You know what the name of that one is?
It's a TV show, right? It's like
Is that what it
Troublemaker
is?
or something like that, or Peacemaker. Yeah,
That sounds about right. I saw the trailer and I go, I am so out. They did not bring me in on that. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I think it's been out for a little bit. It's not for me either.
Okay.
John Cena is actually going to be wrestling like in his last match coming up. John Cena, when I was a kid, he was the guy. Everybody had the shirts. You can't see me. Everybody loved he was. So he was kind of Dwayne the Rock Johnson of my generation. So I did see he announced like in October is going to be his last fight. So I will be tuned into that. But no, I couldn't care less about the Peacemaker show.
All right.
No,
I will say in all of our Tedertainment, and this is a big segment of our podcast, not a lot of superhero movie reviews. I mean, I know some, there is a little bit, but the three of us aren't huge all into the Marvel, all into the, DC United.
Right.
Not a whole lot of that in Tedertainment Tonight.
Yeah, there's some coming up, but Jared would be probably the main guy.
I was big time into it, but they wrapped it up perfectly with Endgame. So it was like ever since Endgame, I've been kind of out. But the thing that's going to bring me back is Robert Downey Jr. is back as like Dr. Doom. Like, so I'm like, oh yeah, when that one drops, I'm going to be watching that one. Robert Downey Jr. he's so awesome. So
amen. All right, let's call it a podcast, fellers. Special thanks to Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Join the Summer Shape Up Challenge running from June 4th to July 30th and follow the Wellness Center on Facebook for more details. Also want to thank our other partners. They include AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. By the way, their owner, Jim Woodworth, is co-producing a collector's show in downtown Owasso called the 201 Collector Expo. It's this Saturday, May 17th at the old J.C. Penney building in downtown Owasso, noon till 6 o'clock. Check it out. Also want to thank Shiawassee County Fair and ALS of Michigan. Big news for our favorite country band, Chi-Town. They've booked a big gig in Detroit, May 31st at the Tin Roof adjacent to Comerica Park. Go see the Tigers play the Royals that day at 4:05 and check out the boys until 9:30. I'm thinking I might go down and do a twin bill. Go watch the Tigers and then slide on over maybe for a burger, a drink, and watch the boys play. That sounds like a day, doesn't it, Jared?
It's a fun time downtown Detroit.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Sounds really good.
I'll be there.
All right, I'll see you there probably. Also want to send one quick shout out to a local business, not a sponsor of ours, just unsolicited shout out. Gilbert's Hardware and Appliance celebrating their 60th anniversary under the guidance of the Gilbert family in Owasso. Just a great store in the heart of Owasso. I mean, I've bought many appliances and televisions there. Great service, they compete with the big box stores, and it's nice to have an anchor store like that in downtown Owasso to keep the town alive, right?
Yeah, hopefully that's one that can keep going. I know we've seen some other businesses and stuff kind of move on.
Yep.
Hopefully that's one that can keep going.
Looks like they got a plan to do that. All right. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. Thanks again for listening to us.